Hey man,
Brother, good to see you.
nice to see you, man. Thanks for doing this with me. Yeah, so I'm just doing this series where I call up my friends, and just have like very random chats with them, very unstructured, very unscripted kind of, chats with them. The idea is just that I know I have a lot of very smart friends, very intelligent friends. So the idea is just trying to, pick their minds on very random things, and then also just get to share their opinion on different topics, very random things. Just put it out there because these are social media space. You know very well that there are just a lot of very unsound opinions out there. So I feel if we continue to keep quiet and we don't put our own perspectives out there, those negative perspectives just continue to spread. So that's one of the inspirations behind, me talking to my very smart sound friends and then just getting them to share their opinions and stuff. So welcome and thanks again for doing this with me. So yeah, today I have my friend Celestine. Celestine and I, we go way back. I think we met in university, and then we just sort of bonded and became very, very, very good friends. Probably because maybe we share the same values on a lot of things. I'm not very sure, but we share a lot of backstories, where we're coming from way back from university days. So, Sele, do you
Mhm.
remember how we actually met and why do you think we've become great friends over the years?
Yeah, it's 21 years, 2004.
Is it?
Uh, yeah,
Wow. Oh,
um,
that's a long time. We're
yeah,
putting our ages out there, it's fine.
2004, University of Calabar Remedial, um, white-eyed teenager, first time from home, trying to understand life, uh, in a very different environment from the coverings of my parents and what I have known growing up as a kid, coming out there. So I think, yeah, it's remedial purely. Now, the instance with which we met, I can't really pinpoint to it, but one memory sticks out for me. Remedial is one of those programs where, I mean, you have one shot. If you pass, great. If you don't pass, well, that's it.
Yeah.
There's no receipts, it's an alternative for those who maybe couldn't get through to jam or something. But one thing that stuck out for me was we had this reading group titled Mates DC. Don't even
It's
remember.
DC, yeah.
Yeah, it was myself. Mates DC was an acronym for everybody's name in the group. It was
Yeah.
Michael, that guy, then C was my name, Celestine, of course. So I think that's where we just started meeting and talking. And I think for me, look, it was very simple. Um, One of the reasons again why I was easier to be friends with you or make friends with you was one simple. This person is here. He knows why he's here. He's studying. So he's studying together and talking about life and just what life would look like post university. Sort of created that bond. So I think the whole premise of just going to school was the very first thing. The other thing was, I think our shared interest or love for computers. I really like computers. That was the whole aim of studying computer science. So that also became like a moment for us to bond and talk. And very early on, I think we'll read about like folks who were in the real world at the time doing stuff that we wanted to do. And just talking about that and what our life looked like. I mean, we have a semblance of what it would be, but we never really had like a picture of where it was going to head to. So in those moments, it was very easy to sort of talk about. And life was easy. There was no pressure on anybody. Nobody was performing for anybody. Um, Life is very different today. You see, it's unfortunate because you see teenagers and young adults stressing over very relevant things in times in the world where you have no to stress about. Uh, we were not showing off who had the best mobile phones, who had the best clothes or something. It was just pure academics. Our bragging rights was who made the most A's or who made the most B's or something. So
Yeah.
that was the basis with which we connected and just became friends and served us over the years. So that's it.
Yeah. So over the years, like you personally, you've really grown.
Mhm.
I know you're one of the few people I call for when I need counsel. You're one
Mhm.
person that you really inspire me, and
Thank
it's
you.
not just me, right? I on social media, for instance, I see people reaching out to you for questions, not just on tech or IT, but about life, marriage, raising kids and stuff, like it just shows that like you're an all-round, very sound person, right?
Thank
But way back then, you were not always this way, right? I remember, back then, Celestine was, one of those shy, timid teenagers, somewhere always sitting at one corner, but you've grown over the years and you've become this mood man, that you are right now. I mean, you're doing very well, you're doing great stuff.
you.
You've led major companies, you've led the tech team for major companies, and you currently run like a multi-million dollar company, right now, and you're like one of the most humble persons that I know. But I guess my question is like, what really informed, that transformation from that lesson back then? What were you very strategic and deliberate about that you think is responsible for this person we have today?
Huh. So, frankly speaking, well, first and foremost, I appreciate the kind words. It's really humbling for me to hear you say that. I appreciate it. Strategy. Honestly, there was no strategy. Um, it's there was no plan as to at this point this is what evolution will look like. I think for me, what was the thing that really helped me is that uh, people in my life. I had people who took interest in me at different phases of my life for no reasons whatsoever. Let's face it, they had no reason as to be invested in my life, but they just took an interest in me and said, I'll help you figure out your life.
Mm.
Church was also very instrumental. You and I
Yeah,
attended.
true, true.
Um, Pastor Komaye was really and still is very instrumental in my life to this day. He's my pastor. I mean, there's no questions about
Our
it.
pastor.
I have known him for maybe 20 years now, running almost 20 years. So yeah, that really helped me, and I think finding church at that very early age was very strategic in my life.
Mm,
It helped me in terms of how I see life, perspective, ideas, and all of those sorts of stuff. My older brother also gave wrong, very instrumental to me in my life. He's one person that I look up to every that time. Um, and I think that was it. And of course, I would say my life will never be completed if I don't mention Sendo Shagaya. I mean, our first boss at Conga.
Tim Shagaya, CEO of Conga back then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the founder of Conga at the time. So Sim was one of those people that if I write an autobiography tomorrow, he has an entire chapter to himself. I can't, I
Mm,
can't complete it. I'm not talking about him. So I think that was it. And also, I think over time, just being exposed to a lot of things,
mm,
maybe by personal curiosity or just meeting people or travel or any of this sort of stuff. So meeting people has really helped shape my life in terms of how I think, how I approach life, how um, I just plan my own life. And over time, one of the things I have learned is that I reach out to people a whole lot. You see people reach out to me, but I reach out to people a whole lot. It might not be publicly on social media, but
yeah.
I can text or phone call. Look, I adopted a life where I can never be shy of asking questions, no matter how stupid the question is. The worst that will happen is that nobody will answer me, but I would ask. I might get a yes, I might get a no, but I will never deprive myself of not asking questions. So I think going through all of that process sort of just shaped my life over time, just meeting people, reading, and just being invested in personal development of myself. Like I said, at the time when we were teenagers, when we met, I had a first sense of where I wanted to be in life, but how to get there was never really clear. But life is a combination of just one single step every now and every other day. So I think for me, I have done that for the last 20 years of my life, and I like to think it served me very well. So
So do you think like your younger self, if he was to see you today, like, Do you think you'll be proud of the man you become, or what will he say to you? Will he like, oh,
I
but
mean, I like to think so. I mean, if you ask me, I like to think so. I like to think so. Because it's funny you say this because just 2 days ago I was just having a conversation with a friend, and we're just talking about life and where we've been and where we're coming from and how things are. I hope and I like to think I have made the younger Celeste proud. In as much as I think I am at 0.1% of what my life would feel like or I want my life to look like. But I think there have been significant progress if I say so myself. So yeah.
will you say there's been like a major twist in your life or a major turning point that actually, sort of orchestrated, or placed you in the trajectory to success?
I think so. I think so. I think for me, I have had different stages in my life, but I think one critical moment for me was not graduating top in class. Um, because there's something about brilliant and smart people
Yeah.
where you feel like your brilliance has to open the door for you. That's it. So the trap that I think most smart people fall into is that you don't do any other thing, just rely on pure academic smartness. And you grow this chip on your shoulder and also build this entitled mentality where you feel like the world should fall apart for you just because you made it first class. So me as an individual, ending up with a third class after 11 years in university,
Mm.
I knew that if I really needed to sort of take myself from where I was to where I think I needed to be, then I have to work 10 times than the guy that made it first class.
Yeah.
Because while the certificate will talk for him, my work should speak for me, right?
Yeah.
After a while in life, yes, certificate still has a place, but people want to see the work that you did. I think for me that was very, very instrumental. I like to think, honestly, I might be wrong, but I like to think if I'd made it first class, I probably wouldn't have done some of the things I have done today. Because again, I probably would have felt, when I made it first class, then everybody should bow, you know. So knowing fully well that I made a third class and in a room full of first class, nobody's going to look at me. I have to prove myself in other ways, which is
Yeah.
just pure sheer hard work and determination. So I think I have done that over the last, maybe 15, 20 years. And I stand by and I'm still doing it. So for me, that for me was a wake up moment. Look, I wasn't necessarily the smartest guy in class, but I was straight B student back in secondary school. Straight B, you know. And that also was a very comfortable thing. But coming out from a place where you know that, look, there's nothing else. So you have two options. Either you sink or you swim.
Yeah.
I remember when I had the conversation with my older brother, and he said, listen, well, it's happened, it's happened. You can't cry over spilled milk. You're here now. Whatever you make out of this event is solely up to you. You can either sink or swim. This can become a weight on you that pulls you down, or this can become a springboard for you, springs you into better things in life. And for me, that conversation was very pivotal. And I think, yeah, I think that for me was that moment made it for me. I still point back a lot of things in my life to that, instance.
Nice, man. Like, obviously, if people if people are watching this, like, they can tell already, like, you're a very sound person.
Thank you.
You're very, very deliberate, with how you approach stuff. I also know that you read a lot of books. Or what are you reading at the moment?
So interestingly, there's a very interesting book called House of Huawei. One second.
Okay.
It's called House of Huawei. It pretty much talks about this very interesting company that most people know it, but not so many people know it. So Huawei is one of those. I mean, it's not an underdog per se. They don't shout, but they do a lot of interesting things, as opposed to their contemporaries like Samsung and Apple and Co. But yeah, it pretty much chronicles the life and times of Huawei from its founding to what it is today. So yeah, so that's what I'm reading at the moment, and written by a lady named Eva Du rather. Sorry, so it's a good book. I like it.
The last time I saw you dance was at your wedding. What else are you not good at, Celestine?
No, so recently, I danced as recently as I mean, I dance every Sunday now, interestingly. I go to church. So I dance every other Sunday in church. Honey Streams in Lagos is a very small church. And for some reason whatsoever, I think I'm beginning to fall in love with small churches. Um, it's it's more communal, it's more family centric. So I like it. So I dance. I dance in church these days. So I think I dance. Um,
What do you think is your most attractive feature
as a person,
as a person?
I mean, I'm a bit biased if I'm going to rate myself about that attractive feature. I don't know. Maybe my height. I mean, I'm 6'4", so um, in a world where the 6-footer seems to have some sort of I don't call it privilege, by the way. I've never used it to withdraw money from it, but yeah.
It's valid. I guess it's valid.
So I am 6'4", so maybe that might be, attractive feature if that passes for one.
Do you have a love language?
Um, So I think maybe as I have grown older, beginning to sort of understand it, but I think acts of service for me it's very important to me.
Mm,
For a couple of reasons. If you serve a person, it means you have a person's interest at heart.
okay.
Um, you can spend money. It doesn't really take anything from you to spend money, right? But if you serve a person, one, it means one, you have their best interest at heart and you care about the people's welfare. And it could be very tiny things. Maybe making your loved ones provide a meal. It's a very nice act of service. Running a hot bath for a loved one after a very long, stressful day.
Mm.
Just maybe creating the environment for them to just rest. It could be a couple of things, maybe taking out the kids so your spouse could sleep or have a good day. It could be just maybe booking a spa date for them and taking them down, just allowing them getting pampered. Um, yeah, or just doing things that will naturally make their lives easier. I think for me, it's very important. Life is stressful, man. I mean, we're a few years away from 40, so we're in that place in our lives where the bones are beginning to ache, pains, mysterious pains are showing up. Your blood pressure is looking very funny. So anything that you can do to sort of ease life stress for a person, it gets my heart every day, every time.
Oh, well, I took that test, man. Like it just turns out, you know, I all five works for me. Like it's a combination of all five. It's weird. Even my wife, it doesn't agree that it's all five. She keeps saying there has to be one that's more, or like, all five works for me. What's a
It's
random mantra you live by?
um be kind to people. Um, be kind to people without expecting any reward and pay it forward. Um, my thing has always been everybody who comes in contact to me should be at least better off, even by a few percent than when they met. And I
Mm.
believe if you cannot be better off for meeting me, you shouldn't be worse off. At the very least, I should leave you the same way I met you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, the memories of me in people's lives should not be that conjures fear or PTSD or whatever the case is.
Mm.
Like, it should be
Mm.
good memories. So it's very important to me. And that's something I hold by.
So you say three things now. I call this two truth and a lie. You say three things about yourself. Two of them will be true and one will be a lie. And I'll try to pick up which of them isn't true.
Good.
Yeah, you go. Three things.
Okay. Do I say three things about myself?
Yeah, three things about yourself. And I'm supposed to pick which of them is a lie. Just one will be a lie, the other two will be true.
Okay. Okay. Um, um, I'm not in love with coffee. That's one. Um, I now play the keyboard and I know how to swim.
Yeah, I've seen your swimming video that the last one I saw, like man, Michael Phelps will be very scared right now. Then for coffee, I know you way back then you weren't a coffee person, but when you started doing multi-million naira dollar businesses, then you started drinking coffee. So I'll probably tilt towards keyboard. Like you don't play keyboard.
Yeah, okay. Um, so you're right. I don't play the keyboard. The kids play the keyboard. I swim. The coffee thing is I just started falling in love with coffee recently. So I was out for a while last week and I met this incredible human who just said, oh, maybe you've never really had somebody brew your coffee the way they ought to brew. And she made like really nice coffee for me. And
Wow.
okay. So this was I mean, I've been out every now and then, but I think I would say she brewed it with love. So that was that
Wow.
I just realized that look, I really it's not like I hated coffee. Maybe I was just too broke to. I was
Back
too
then,
broke to have one good coffee back in the day.
you want
Um,
myself with Lipton. One bag, 2 liters. Man.
um, so a few months ago, Ike Mokode, one of the founders of Access Bank,
Yeah.
had this exhibition of his private art collection,
Yeah.
and it was beautiful. It was really beautiful. And then I maybe I was about 10, 15 minutes clip I watched. When I left that video, like, man, it's not like I never really loved art. It's just like I was too broke to appreciate art. Because I used to say, look, art is one of those. I used to tell myself, like, art is one of those very pretentious things that people do just to belong in a class of other people. Like, oh, there, you look at something and it's very meaningless, but the guy will explain it, will give you the every single thing about it. And you're like, you're struggling to appreciate it. But after coming up from that, you're like, oh, I never really hated art like that. So I just never, it's just too broke to appreciate it. I'm still very broke to buy good art, by the way. So
You're not broke. You're not broke, man. Now you're meeting with the Access Bank CEOs and then drinking coffee
uh
at Sheraton. You're not broke,
no.
man.
So that's it. So yeah.
Well, I know over the years you probably had like several opportunities. I
Mm,
mean, even you could decide to live outside Nigeria, this year you could, you can make it happen. But for
mm.
some reason you just decided to stay back in Nigeria. Like walk me through that thought process.
So I hope this doesn't get me in trouble, but anyway, here goes. For a couple of reasons. I mean, uh, when parents are at that phase in their life where they're hitting 70, you know, and it's a very, very critical moment, and I think in every parent's life. Same with my in-laws also, that phase where they're either not at 70, either hit 70 or approaching 70.
Yeah.
And for me, um, it's interesting for a couple of reasons because one, I tell myself that look, I don't want to ever be in a situation where I am called that hey, dad wants to see you and travel becomes a project for me. I would be in a situation where if I wanted to see my father tomorrow, um, I could get on a plane tomorrow and go see him. January last year, I woke up one day and I just had this thing to just go see my father. No reasons whatsoever, nothing. I was missing him. And by the way, also, it helps to say that at this phase in my life, I am appreciating my friend a lot better. Relationship with him is an order of magnitude better than where it was as a teenager. I understand him better now as a man, as a father into this world. So um, I also understand his struggles as a person also. So I have a whole level of respect for him. So anyway, January last year, I just had this thing of just let's go to see my father. And I woke up one day and I told her that look, I'm going to go see my dad. But like, what's like nothing. I just want to go see him. I got to the airport, got a plane ticket, go see him, spend 2 days with him. Most amazing 2 days of my life. And and just came back to Lagos and I was just happy with him. So I think for me, I still want to be able to do that. And two, family is here, siblings are here. I mean, even though we don't get to see ourselves every other time, the one time that we see ourselves in a year, it's very important to me. So I hold that very near and dear. And the other part is that my business is in Nigeria. It's 100% based in Nigeria. It makes sense for me to be on the ground and see how things are being run and all of this sorts of stuff. Lastly, also my kids. My kids are at a very young and impressionable age. There's still a lot of work to be done in and with them to get them to a point where I feel like if I take them from this society to another society, whatever the world throws at them, they can withstand it. So yeah, I think for me, those are the three major things. And again, it rolls around work and family. So that's it.
That's great, man. That's like a great thought process. And I know you're big on family, but this this one just sort of, really shifted my mindset a bit. Talking about mindset and stuff, do you think what's your thought on women shooting their shots?
Please. Hmm. So I'm not divided on it, but I think honestly, the world is in a place where some of the things that we learned and grew up with traditionally, I don't really hold them to them again sacrosanct. Maybe I did a while ago, but not necessarily again. Yes, they should, but be very subtle about it. Create enough green light to the point where you've done the work and the man just needs to take it from there and runs with it. I think you should do that. And I think over time I have learned something in life. Look, I live by that mantra. If you want something, go for it. The world rarely hands things to people.
Yeah.
Well, so if you want it, go for it. Make your intentions known, be clear about it. And just say, look, if you like some, say I like you. Whatever the other person wants to do with that information, that's left for them. Nobody's saying you should go and chase him, woo him, cut him, pay his groom price, if you will, but just let him know. Oftentimes, that person might just be feeling the exact same thing about you. Now, and please don't just do this to any random person. Do this to people that you know,
Sure.
to a large extent, you're sure of them, you admire things about them. It could be their character, their values, their integrity, and maybe their perspective about life. And to a large extent, also, there's a certain level of friendship between both of you, then go ahead and do it. You would ask, oh, but why is the man not doing it? More often than not, the man has been burnt through a lot of rejection and he's just maybe tired and zoned out. And he's thinking, do I risk this thing and tell the person how I feel about her and risk the relationship, or do I just, so do it. You never can tell. Magic happens when you ask questions. The worst that can happen is that you hear no and you keep it pushing.
Have you been rejected in the past? Like you tried to shoot your shots and then it bounced.
Man, there is no man that has never been through that phase. It's good for character development. Trust me. You need that shock. You need that shock. It's hell. But I mean, reality about life is that you will never get a yes to every single thing in life, in relationship, in business, in
Yeah.
everything in life. You never really get a yes. I think people's fear is the fear of the unknown. And I've grown older as a person. I've learned that, look, if you never ask, you never get it. Period. And as I'm living in life where it's a theory that is called regress minimalization. Simply states that, look, the way I formulate it is that, look, do I want to get to 70 and wonder what if? No. At that time, there's not so much that you can do. Do it here, get the no, and move on. The one thing that I hate is what if. I hate what if, because nothing really happens in what if. I mean, you're beating yourself, you're wondering of all of the possibilities. But when you had the opportunity, you didn't pull the trigger. So just do it. Hear the no. Whatever it is, relationship, life, business, whatever. Hear the no. Take it to chest, don't be too don't let it affect you so bad. Yeah, I mean, let's be frank, it hits everybody. It will hit you, but just it. Move on. Keep going. You won't die. That's it. You won't die. So
Very good. Okay, that's really profound. Do you in a relationship, not
mhm.
every truth should be said now. Do you agree?
It depends on what kind of relationship are we talking about here.
Let's use marriage.
Not every truth should be said now.
Yeah.
I don't believe so. No, I don't believe so. Um,
You don't
if
you don't think the timing, the mode of delivery is equally as important as the message itself, and it could
I mean,
affect how the message is, received?
oh, of course, of course, of course. But I think the earlier you get out of the way, the better for you. Especially maybe you're cutting a person, like maybe that's a married person, for instance. My theory is simple: give people the opportunity to back out. It's very simple. Give people the opportunity to back out. It's a lot more. It's a lot less catastrophic for people to have the opportunity now and back out than for a person to like find out maybe 2 3 years down the line and they feel like you had hoodwinked them, you had tricked them into something. Then you get into like this weird mode of damage control, and this person starts wondering what other stuff is there that they don't know about, and it's just too stressful. Giving
Mhm.
me the opportunity to back out. Um, and then yeah, it's. I remember having a conversation with Nana many years ago. I'm like, look, this is who I am. Take me for what I am. I am not more than this. And the running joke that I used to tell her, I'm not a fine boy. I would never be a fine boy. This is who I am. So if you think it's going to be a problem, please, I don't have 6 packs. I have no plans of growing one ever. So
So
if
like,
six packs,
you've always had 6 packs.
ah, if 6 packs and beers are your thing, please, by all means. So, but I mean, that's on a lighter mood, but really give people the opportunity to back out. That way,
But
in so doing, unconsciously, you're building trust with them. Because then it's like,
if
okay,
it's like in like a marriage situation, like
mhm.
there's no option of backing out there, like both of you are already in it, right? So um yeah, I guess you initially agreed with what I said. The timing is important and the message itself, like in the context of marriage, for instance. Um because timing could affect how the message is being received,
Oh, of
you
course.
know. So yeah, for me, I think it's true that not every truth should be said now. You should be sensitive to timing and how
Oh,
you
of course,
that goes.
definitely. Emotional intelligence is very important. So that goes
Mhm,
without saying.
mhm. So I know you're obviously you're very passionate about marriage and relationships and young people. How one of the things we hear most times is while people are preparing for marriage, especially like for us the guys, it's always that like I'm not ready. Maybe I don't have all the money I want yet. I've not no house and all that stuff. What do you think is like the most not the most important? How do you think like an average young person should what should they get in place, to just show that readiness? Like, okay, once I get these things in place, I know it's probably it's unique for every individual, but like a general kind of what do you think, an average young man should, put in place and then to show like readiness for marriage?
Um, so a couple of things that I'll speak about it from the tangible and intangible stuff.
Mhm.
Uh, Tangible stuff, get a house. Have a house of your own.
Like rented.
It doesn't, yeah, of course, it doesn't, whether rented or bought, whatever,
Yeah.
a space that is your own.
Yeah.
I would never encourage any man to marry and take someone's daughter to his parents' house. Don't do that, please. You're just going to stress somebody's daughter unnecessarily. So get a house of your own. It's
Yeah.
very important. Doesn't matter whether it is a single room or a 5 bedroom duplex, but make sure it is your space. That's one. Two, for the again material stuff, have a steady source of income. Look, let's face it, you need money to you need money to make marriage work. It doesn't have to be a whole lot of money, but it also has to be sizably enough and recurrent. That recurrent part is very important.
Requirements. Yeah.
It has to be recurrent. Your wife likes you. Your wife will love you, obviously, but she doesn't want to be in that space where she's always thinking about where the next meal is going to come from. Now, don't get me wrong. Today, we're in also a space where, thank God, women make their own money also, and in most cases, our earners the men. But also, I this is my personal theory that it's a man's job to sort of provide. It doesn't matter how much it is, but be let your income should be dependable. I think that's the best way to put it.
Yeah.
Provide. Then the other intangible parts that you have to begin to develop your emotional intelligence. It's important. You're coming to a space where you're dealing with somebody who is totally different from who you are. Not your sibling, not your sibling, not your family relation. That's a very different individual. And you're coming in, you're two different persons. In most cases, coming from two different spectrum. And how she sees life and how you see life are two different ways. So being able to grow that sense of mind as to how do you merge and handle this other individual and how do you live, peacefully. It's very important. It's very, very important. Two, learn conflict resolution. Super important. You cannot shy away from problems, because they will show up. It could be very subtle things to really, big stuff, but and very subtle stuff that can. Oftentimes, we think it's the really big things that throw people off in a relationship. It's the very simple stuff, very tiny stuff.
True.
Blames and says, "Look, cover the toilet seat when you use it. Don't press the paste from the middle. And she says, look, if I go out, if it's 6 p.m., just be mindful of me. Just ask, where are you? Are you okay? Again, very simple stuff. And if you're coming from a place where you're thinking, she's an adult, she'll find her way back. She is. She can find her way back. I mean, she's been doing that before you came into her life, but one person wants to feel like she means something to you. So it's super important that you do that. Learn how to manage money. It's again, I cannot overemphasize this because no matter how much you earn, if you cannot manage your money properly and effectively, then there's going to be problems. Nobody wants to wake up and panic and worry about if you guys are going to make it to the next day. So learn how to manage your money. And keep your words, be dependable. If you say yes, let it be yes. If you say no, let it be no. And again, it starts from very simple stuff. Even from your cutting days. You said you're going to call by 9 p.m. tomorrow, call at 9 p.m. If you can't call at 9 p.m., let there be a good reason why you can't call at 9 p.m. She asks for something. But again, not monetary, like, hey, I need help for you to look over this document. And you said, oh, you know what, I'm going to look at it for you by during that time, and that time comes in and goes and you don't do it. It begins to chip away from every single thing that you have, but again, be when you say yes, do it. When you say no. And lastly, develop your leadership abilities. I don't know whatever that means to anybody, but you need to be able to lead. Again, if she can't trust your leadership skills, then there's going to be problems. So nobody wants to be in a person where they feel like if life goes south, they're going to crumble. If life goes south, that's when you should show resilience, and being able to say, you know what, yeah, I'm going to do it. And I think oftentimes we always think that people pray that God forbid life will never go south. Let's face it, everybody will go through that phase. It's not a curse, it's just a normal sequence of life. Nothing goes in an upward trajectory forever. We never have that kind of hockey stick growth in Bermuda. Even companies, even world economies, everything goes through that cycle. So on your downtime, how do you behave in your downtime? That sort of speaks to who you are and how things are going to go forward. So yes, I think those are the kind of things that people should develop. And overall, just be dependable. Just be dependable. That's it.
I guess while we are still on maybe talking about this, could you just say something to maybe you could merge this together, like new couples, people that just got married, say something to them, and then you could also use the opportunity to touch on, raising kids, like what you probably have learned over the years or what you wish you knew,
Mm.
just along those lines, yeah.
So for new couples, understand that it's you, your spouse, and against the world.
Mm.
So that's it. It's you, your spouse, and against the
Against
world.
the world. Okay.
Don't ever allow any external influence, especially negative influence, affect your internal relationship. No, should
Mm.
never allow that get to you. Should never allow that get to you. It could be from maybe way of life to even finances. Understand
Yes.
that you are a team. Um, and uh, I mean, my prayer and wish is that people's marriages last forever. So understand that, look, we're in this together. I'm not against you. I also believe you're not against me. So whatever issues that happen, let's find a way to resolve it. Live your life at your own pace, not the dictates of other people.
Yeah.
Um, in most traditional, or in most African homes, for instance, there's this expectation that you get married in January, then by September or October that year, we should be coming for a child education. No, nobody says that should be the case. For us, I mean, it took us about 4 years for us to have our first kid. It was deliberate. It was not an accident. It wasn't because we couldn't make kids. No, we needed that time. It was very important for us to have that time. I wanted to stay for the first 5 years without a child, but again, when you're married to some other person, you need to consider them. So don't allow any external influence dictate how you live your life.
Yeah.
Live your life at your own pace. And you cannot afford not to continue to plan for what the future looks like.
Mhm.
And don't take life willy-nilly. Don't do things willy-nilly. Just the same way maybe you went to school and you said I was going to make a first class. When you're in marriage, also define these are the things that are important to us. It could be a couple of things. Talk. I think for me, the first 1 year of marriage should be talking and planning. Forget about kids. Again, this is me.
Yeah.
Forget.
Yeah.
Children complicate stuff, you know. And it's also stressful. I mean, you're a father. Your life is very different today. Maybe 2 years ago, without a child, you can get on a plane and travel and don't come back for the next.
I was in probably in your country every weekend. And
So,
sincerely, I think for the past 2 years or lesson, I probably never stepped my foot on a plane. I
so
never,
yeah,
the closest I've been to the airport, like, is to go pick up someone.
so yeah. I mean,
For the
so
past 2 years, man, it's crazy.
um, we went to the movies for the first time, maybe last year. Yeah, last year, first time last year. Because I mean, you have kids, life is happening, things are going on, so
Hmm.
yeah, it's stressful. So again, back to what I was saying. First year should be pure planning. Planning on, I mean, ideally you should have been things you should have been doing while you were cutting, but if you never had the time to do that, when you're that first year, what does fit looks like for both of you? It's very important. Whatever it is that fit means to you, define it. What does finances looks like for both of you? How are you going to manage your finances? I stress on finances because it is one thing that would throw off many marriages. So what finances look like. If your wife, for instance, income isn't, let's say, at par with yours, so let's say maybe what she earns in 1 month or what she earns in 6 months is what you earn in 1 year. Now, if you bring that money back and you're the kind of person that money comes on Friday for the next 2 weeks, nobody sees you at home. There's no difference between you and the guy that earns 10 times lesser than you are. So finance is very important. Also,
Yes.
if you're also a person who happens to be with a woman who earns way more than yourself, you know, again, you have to have that conversation. Do you allow your ego to sort of become bruised and you start acting very funny or weird? How do you deal with that? Again, it's very important to have that conversation.
Uh,
Where you're going to live, it's very important where you're going to live. I say this as somebody who lives in Lagos. Lagos is a very stressful city where you're going to live, and it's very important. Whether um, what society you're going to live. Do you guys have plans of, again, in today's world where relocation is, um, happening every now and then, would you relocate? If you're relocating, why are you relocating to? How do you relocate? How do you blend into society? So again, talk about those things. I think for me, is first year, talk, 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 talk. How many kids are you going to have? If you're going to have that kids, how would it work? Say you wanted to have two kids and you happen to have two boys. Are you going to be okay with those two boys? Are you going to try for a girl? So you have two girls. Are you going to be okay with those two girls, or do you try for a boy? So have those conversations. They might be uncomfortable, but they are very
Yeah,
important.
yeah,
Have them. Don't let anything take you by surprise. Then make plans. I think for me, make plans. The same way people have jobs and they have KPIs and they do quarterly reviews. And I look at my life as a business. Um,
mm,
I do quarterly review for myself and the family. It's very important. So it's the same way I would do quarterly review for my business and see what the health of the business looks like. So make plans, talk. Um, when you talk and decide on those things, nothing takes you by surprise, because when those events starts coming at you, you already know how to handle them. There's already a framework as to how to deal with them. So please, the first point, if you can talk, 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 just talk, just talk, 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 talk. I cannot emphasize talking. Talk. It's very important. Talk.
mm.
How would we resolve conflicts when conflict arises? Do we call it third party? Do we sit back as grown adults and talk through our issues? Are we going to do therapy? Do we bring a therapist, for instance? So again, it's very important. Talk, talk, because think about, you have the rest of your lives to live together.
Yeah.
So why not spend that 1 year talk? That would sort of set what the tone of the rest of your lives will look like. So talk.
Also, maybe I also think it's very important to for both of you to have maybe someone that can hold you accountable, or even individually or collectively, accountable. Someone that maybe if your partner's is not, processing things the way you probably would love them to, or Nigeria will say when they head they touch, just someone you can go to, and like to someone your partner respects, that
Yeah.
can hold you, accountable. For instance, like I know when we started, we mentioned Pastor Komaye,
Mm.
like there's nothing in this world that will make me, for B, so you want to call Pastor Komaye, like I will not resolve anything if it's like, so
Yeah.
like those kinds of things, they sort of, put you guys in check. Nice, nice, nice. Okay, I think we've been talking a lot about like marriage and very serious things. I guess the next set of questions I'll be asking you are like very rapid fire, so you just answer spontaneously. So for instance, if I say cat or dogs, which do you prefer? You just give like a spontaneous answer.
So
So cat or dogs?
neither. I don't like pets, man. I don't like pets. Um, uh, I,
Calabar man on live TV saying no to dogs.
neither, man. I mean, if push comes to shove that I really need to choose, then probably would just settle for a dog.
Dog, okay. Um, Rats or cockroaches?
Huh, man, rats, man, because with rats poison, you can take them out. Cockroaches are
Cockroach.
right.
Especially those flying ones.
Yeah, that's all. I can do with rats. So,
Call or text?
so call, yes, and for one reason, there's a big tendency for you to misconstrue people's text messages.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I think people interpret text messages based off how their day is going, So yeah, you
That's a
don't want to.
very cool way to put it.
Yeah, so
Mm,
there's so even at work today for us, look, when in doubt, just get on a call. Just get on a call. With calls, you can express emotions, your tone, your people can see you without seeing you, if that makes sense.
yeah.
So yeah, calls, every calls. Yeah.
One thing people absolutely love that you dislike.
Um, People love that I dislike.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see. Maybe bungee jump, because man, I don't see myself doing. I'm not necessarily adventurous, but nah. The day you decide to go, that's when the day the rope decides to snap. Nah,
Yeah,
cannot do
that's
me.
I feel people that go that do all those extreme sports, I call them, they probably have like auxiliary lives or maybe they have 9 lives, and like if something happened, they just switch to the next life, because no man. One time I think when we went to South Africa, we had booked this one where like you jump out of a plane and then
Hmm.
open a parachute and all that. I went to where they were boarding. I changed my mind there and then.
Yeah, so nah,
Right now, even things like roller coaster is a no-no for me. No,
man.
no, man. Like,
Yeah,
I think I've
really.
probably done maybe once, some of them once, and I just feel maybe like that's okay. You know. What's the weirdest thing you've Googled recently?
Weirdest thing I Googled
Mm-hmm.
recently. I mean, is it necessarily weird? I wouldn't think so, but how to make sausages. I don't know how to cook, so um, I, I've been trying to learn how to cook, so I Google how to make sausages, so that's it.
Yeah. I made
Mm.
suya recently using YouTube.
Okay, so
You know. Yeah,
I want to learn how to cook.
I
So
did. I did. Do you have any celebrity you like?
celebrity that I like, huh? No, not necessarily. I mean, now that you ask it depends. Where is this person? Is it entertainment? Is it corporate life?
Regardless, wherever, like someone out there you like.
I mean, I admire Elon Musk. I
I
the
mean,
guy.
like it's valid, it counts.
It-
At,
he's
at this point, is more like an entertainer.
it's crazy. I mean, but look, that guy. It's building rocket is one of the most difficult things to do, man. And he does it, and it takes a person to be singularly focused and very tenacious for the person to do what he's been able to do.
Yeah,
You're building rockets, you're building electric cars, for instance. Um, you're doing things that has to do with biohacking, with Neuralink. You're building underground hyperloops, for instance. Um, yeah, look, I wonder how that man sleeps at night, man. But yeah, I think for me, you have to be incredibly disciplined with yourself and time and just relentlessly dogged for you to do the things that he does. So yeah,
yeah. It's
it's
it's crazy,
my
man.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
most
really.
people would probably maybe delegate those things, but he he chooses to be the face of each of
Yep.
those things. So it just makes it incredibly hard.
Yeah.
And his PR team will probably be working overtime. I think he's in trouble. You know.
Uh, so yeah, I mean, I admire the guy, irrespective of his shortcomings, but yeah, his work ethics. You can't bet against him. Right? You don't bet against him. I would say don't bet
Yeah,
against
yeah.
him.
Describe Donald Trump in 3 words.
I might ask for American visa tomorrow, so I have to. So he's a settled person.
Be nice.
Um, he's tenacious.
Yeah.
He's tenacious. You cannot take that away from him.
Hmm.
He's tenacious. Um, and that's one skill I really like about him. Um, he's singularly minded, focus minded.
Focus.
Wants to do something, he gets it done. Um, I think he could be impulsive at times, so yeah, can could be
Yeah.
impulsive. Because I mean, I don't expect a sitting president to be fighting with a private individual on social media, but here we are. So
He's everything. He's everything. He can wear whatever hat you want him to be. He's that
so
kind
there.
of person. Say something about AI.
Um, it's here to stay. Whether we like it or not, it's here to stay. Whether we you can't fight it. It's a moving train. You can't fight it. You either get on the train or you get out of the way. It's going to crush you. It's here to stay. So the same way the steam engine changed like the third, was it the third industrial revolution?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's here to stay. So learn it, appreciate it, take it for what it is, but you can't ignore it. It's going to permeate every single industry on earth. I mean, last Sunday I was teaching in church, um, and I found myself like using AI to sort of like, put together the things I wanted to do, just sort of become like a co-pilot of some sort of the things I wanted to do. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's really important. So learn it, use it, master it, if you will.
If for whatever reason now, like, people get to hear that you were arrested, what do you
Hmm.
think would be the first thing on their mind that they think you did?
Oh, that I got arrested, and maybe I was in a place I wasn't supposed to be. I think that's the very first thing that probably comes to people's mind. Um, because I don't think there's any other thing that probably will make me get arrested. I won't fight. I can't fight. I will try my very best not to break the law. But it could just be a case of wrong place, wrong time. So I would like to think so.
Yeah, sincerely, I can't think of anything that you do to get arrested.
I don't do drugs. I don't abuse alcohol. I don't drink alcohol. I don't do drugs. So
Maybe,
you'll never catch.
maybe argue with a law enforcement officer that was trying to infringe on your rights, that might
Yeah,
get
so
you
that's
arrested.
that's that's true. That's true. Yeah, that's true.
So if you have $1 million now, what's your plan?
For $1 million,
Yeah.
what would I do with it?
Yeah. How do you?
The first thing I probably would do is just allow that money just sit and wherever it is, man. Just let it cool. Just like for like 6 months, I'm gonna live like
Man, that's a long time. You won't be
no, I'm
able to,
serious.
I don't know for you, man, but I won't be able to sleep for 6 months. For
So
that 6 months.
the way I look at that kind of money, especially if it's money that I have worked over time to earn, it's a very different thing. But if I spontaneously have $1 million tomorrow, I don't think it's going to make that much of an impact in my life. And here's what I say. Instantaneously, by the way, here's what I say. 24 hours ago, I never had this money, and the quality of my life never really changed.
Mhm.
24 hours later, me having this money doesn't mean my life has to change dramatically immediately. So for the next 6 months, I'm just going to allow it sit wherever it is. Maybe 6 months is exaggerating it, but I'm not going to like hit the town and paint it red. It's not who I am. I just don't know how to do with it. I'll
Yeah.
leave it sit down somewhere. I will call a few persons whose judgment I know and trust. It could
Mhm.
be a former boss, an older colleague, or it could be a friend and say, look, I run into this sudden wealth. What do I do with it? And just hear their perspective. But the one thing I know I will do for certain out of that money is I'm going to make sure that the children's college fund is sorted. Simple. Children's college fund is sorted.
Ivy League, oh, Ivy League.
Wherever they want to go to, whether from first degree to PhD, that cash is sorted out. Then, whatever is remaining out of it, we can now figure out what do I do with this. But first and foremost, college fund sorted. Then, of course, I'll pay my tithes. I'm a Christian, it's very important to me. I'll pay my tithes. So,
10%.
oh, yes, 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 yes. That's it.
So now your Lagos lifestyle aficionado, that's what they call it, right? You're sure out there, like you're attending parties and doing dinners and all that,
Oh,
I
wow.
see you, man. I see you. I see those pictures.
So I can't necessarily call myself. No, no, I'm not even a lifestyle connoisseur. Um, so what I think, one of the things I think that just made me begin to change my perspective about a lot of things is that look, I had a healthcare, personal healthcare,
Oh,
maybe a little year ago, and I'm like, huh,
that was long ago, right?
yeah, I'm
Okay.
like, huh. Um, the joke now is that we're now at the age where we have blood pressure monitor at home, so I had a health scan. I'm like, look, we've been postponing enjoyments for a later date. I think I have paid my dues in life to a large extent, so I can afford enjoyment, small one now and that.
Oh,
So, so yeah, I think that was just it. So
yeah,
I think that is that, look, I would do the things that I can do that makes me happy, things that spark joy. I would do it. Life is
okay,
stressful if you're honest with
true.
yourself. I would do the things that I can do that sparks joy, for myself, for loved ones, all of this sort of stuff. It's very important that I do that. Um, so these days, as long as I have a litmus test, would it put me in harm's way? No. Would it put the people I love and care about in harm's way? No. Pleasant in the sight of God, would it offend God? No, then I'll go ahead and do it. So I like it. I see it, watch, I like it. I must buy myself a Maserati for my 50th birthday. It's 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 whether how it will happen, it will happen. For 50th birthday for myself, I must buy myself a Maserati. So I
Join,
think for me,
I join
looking
my
at life,
fate with yours.
so that's how I'm looking at life. It's a watch that I see and I like. Okay. There's a watch that I love.
Yeah.
It's a Hublot watch. So I've been
Hublot.
thinking, yeah, maybe for my 40th, 3 years time, I'll buy myself a Hublot. Nothing serious. That's the watch that I like. I don't really care for the Richard Mille, the Philippe Patek, all over the walls.
Sincerely,
I
I
really,
like Richard Milles. 2 weeks ago, I just found myself just scrolling through the pages. I was like,
yeah.
okay.
I have always loved the Hublot, so I'll buy
But
one for myself.
guess, but guess what? I think it's like one of these things where I admire, right? But I'll probably maybe never bring myself to buying because I probably wouldn't justify maybe spending like 100K plus on a wristwatch,
Hmm.
that just tells time. You know, yeah, it's gold plated, it's diamond encrusted. But I don't know, man. I don't know. I probably will never do it. But well, you know what they say, never say never.
I mean, never say never, man. Never say.
Yeah.
If you told me I would drink coffee maybe 2, 3 years ago, I probably like, nah, sure. But yeah, here we are. So,
Give us one fashion tip. I'll ask you a few more questions and then we begin to round up.
okay.
One fashion tip.
Fashion,
Yeah.
fashion tip.
Yeah.
Ah, I am the worst person to ask for a fashion tip. I know nothing about fashion. Um, no,
You dress you dress really well. I see you like, oh my guy, you dress really well. Yeah,
I
you
try.
do. You do.
Um,
You carry yourself well.
I don't know, man. Maybe fashion tip. I don't know, but does smell nice count? Smell nice counts then maybe. In recent times, I've been I've been falling in love with perfumes, and I've been collecting a few bottles here and there. So that's one thing that's making me happy. So maybe smell nice. Look, the world is stressful. Don't kill people with bad odor. Smell nice. So
Okay, so for you as a person, what does success mean to you?
um so living a fulfilled life and doing the things that you would actually love to do. Success
Mhm.
for me means freedom. I mean, I know it sounds convoluted, but
Freedom. Okay.
I get to a place in my life where I am free to do the things I want to do without necessarily worrying about any other thing. Then I think I'm successful. And it's many years ago, maybe 20 years old, I would think, right, I have $2 billion, I'm successful. No? But really, it's freedom.
Yeah.
Um, I I want to go to Cape Town tomorrow. By the way, that's one city I really like. and I can go. For me, that's successful. I wake up tomorrow and say, you know what, I want caviar, and I can get caviar, then for me, that's successful. So yeah, it's freedom. Success means freedom for me. Being able to do the things you want to do at and when you want to do them.
Yeah.
So,
What are you most proud of this year?
um, oh, being able to swim. Um, yeah, I say this
That was
because
the last thing I was expecting.
yeah, being able to swim. Um, exactly 30 years ago, I had a life-changing stroke near-death accident in the swim in the stream.
Wow.
Uh, yeah, a tree stump ran through my nipple, so maybe it's here. Both my nipples are not the same. So it was a life-changing accident. So for that moment, I developed a massive phobia for water.
Mm.
I will stay away from water for as far as I can. But just watching my kids, float effortlessly on 10-foot deep pools just motivated me to go ahead and just learn how to swim. And I struggled, I struggled. I remember my very first few days or weeks, it was a struggle, but getting to that point where I am comfortable enough to stay in water, knowing fully well that in a pool, I don't think I can, except otherwise is maybe the pool is like 30 feet deep, then something will happen. But I know what to do now.
Yeah.
That for me
Nice.
is a major win. So that's one
Nice.
thing I'm grateful for.
Cool.
My son playing keyboard up to the point where he plays the piano in church, so watching him going from knowing nothing. Today, what's his name? Yeah, teacher was telling me that he can score some songs now by himself. Like, oh wow, okay, that's
Wow.
good. So
Wow.
yeah, so being able to do that, yeah. So I'm
I think
quite
I
proud
was
of.
jokingly telling you this week, like, most of those skills I don't have. Maybe when my kids start taking those classes, I'll probably be joining them, because I still want to play an instrument. I still want to, maybe play some sports and then, like I'll probably just join the kids.
Mm.
Yeah, so I guess my last question for you is what's your wish for your future self?
Wish for my future self, man, long life and in good health, man. Um, because look, without that good health and a long life, there's not much that can happen. And also, both of them going hand in hand. There's no point living long and you're not in good health, so it doesn't really make sense. So long life and in good health. If I have, God blesses me with long life and good health, then I want to do a lot of other stuff.
Same
My
here.
ultimate aim or goal in life is that at 55, I probably want to retire, man. I don't want to work till I'm 70. At 55, I want to retire. And when I retire, I'm going to do two things or three things. I'm going to teach, for sure. Uh, and I would love to go teach University of Calabar, even if it's for 1 year. Go teach.
Yeah,
Teach.
we've always had that that dream of going back to our university to impact,
So
Yeah,
teach. So I want to write, read and write, and I want to travel the world. Yeah, so that's it. Um,
right. I think it aligns mostly with, my own personal goals and wish for my future self. So, yeah, before you go, is there any question you want to ask me? You have the opportunity to ask me just one question as we shut down.
how is fatherhood?
Say again.
How is fatherhood like? Fatherhood.
Wow, man, it's it's fun, you know. It's a mix of fun and stress. I don't know if that's like a possible combination, but it's one thing that, regardless of how much you prepared, how much you planned, when you're actually in it, it still feels like, you're not prepared, So, um, it's an enjoy. I'm trying to enjoy the experience as much as possible, but sometimes the sleepless nights just gets a hold of you, But I probably wouldn't trade it for anything else, It's a
Mm.
great experience. Yeah. So
Yeah,
that's it for me.
good man. Well, it was good. It was good doing this.
Thanks. Thanks so much, man. Like I said, this was very random, unstructured, but like we've been able to touch on a whole lot of things, and just get like some valid opinions out there that I think people will find value in, if they get to watch this. Thank you so much for doing this, and you should probably have like a part two of
Yeah,
this. Thanks,
sure.
thanks, man. This was really productive. Thank you so much.
So, thanks, my man.